Welcome to the coffee break for June 1st, 2020. It's our community coffee break, a little chance for us to get together as a community and just hang out and think about other things. Welcome, everybody. Good to see us.
Yeah, the summer has finally come, and it's 21 degrees outside. So today I had to start my air conditioning.
It was 3 degrees this morning here. Quick, we'll get some quick housekeeping out of the way. Coffee break today is Monday, obviously, and so I had mentioned previously I was going to be experimenting with seeing if Mondays were going to work. And last week I noticed that no, Mondays do not work. So because what happened is Monday, of course, typically the day that I write the newsroom stories and then get them all prepped for Tuesday, and then they're ready for Wednesday when we do the record. So we were a day behind last week. So coffee break is going to be moved to Sundays. So effective Sunday, June the 7th, that will be our first attempt at locking down a Sunday at noon as our date. So we'll find a place that it fits within my schedule so that I can be there. I also had a staff meeting with the team yesterday. So we had Sasha, Jeff, Henry, and Robert were all there, and we had an opportunity to just kind of discuss how things are going to flow. And it's just finding a day when we're basically available and able to do this. So hopefully we'll lock down Sundays. So Peter, welcome. Just a note, Sunday is going to be our next coffee break on June the 7th. And then I'm always posting those on the homepage of category5.tv. So it's on the calendar, and it's on, which I try to keep up to date. Bill, you pointed out to me that I forgot to put it on the calendar. And so I did that, but it is also on the website itself. I do post that there. So in our meeting, we kind of had some brainstorms about, how the heck are we going to do Category 5 Technology TV amidst and post-pandemic? And, it's like all the ideas that we're trying to come up with. And Sasha suggests, okay, well, we can still do the desk thing, but we just need plexiglass between us. So, holy cow, that's the world that we're in, eh?
Well, that's what the checkout, any supermarket checkout,
people are doing.
That's what you'll see.
Weird on TV. It'll look weird on TV, that's for sure.
Well, not if you set the plexiglass to be edge on. Then you won't hardly even see it. There you go.
You have to curve the desk just so that it wraps around the camera.
And you walk
and then if you have a green tape or something on the edge of the plexiglass, then it disappears on the green screen.
Yeah, perfect.
And it's like 2 meters apart.
That's the thing. The 2 meters thing gets us. So I suggested maybe we need Maxwell Smart's Dome of Silence, one for each of us, and we'll just kind of it'll come down on top of each of us as we arrive. But I was thinking at least we don't use headsets now. So if we had to wear masks, we do have lapels. So there's always the opportunity to do that. But what I think we've decided on is making a cluster of independent, so a cluster as in multiple devices, but independent as in each one will have its own distro, Raspberry Pi unit that will each have the Raspberry Pi OS and Zoom installed. And each one of those has an HDMI output. So then each Raspberry Pi becomes a camera source, essentially, for Zoom. So I'd have one Raspberry Pi dedicated to Jeff, and that would be HDMI out into his capture. And then when I push the button on the Stream Deck, it would switch to his camera, basically. And then have one for Sasha and one for Henry, and however we want to set it up. So it's just like one Raspberry Pi per person. It might work. So that's kind of where...
I'm sorry, I think I missed what it is you were meaning to do with that Raspberry Pi.
Being able to have them come in remotely through Zoom.
I see. Okay, got it.
Because for the show, we obviously don't want this grid layout, and we can't have it so that it's switching back and forth every time someone speaks. And
but you need a separate input for each of them, so you can edit them, post as much as any way you like.
And even live, we need to be able to switch to the person who's speaking manually.
Yes.
And people may not realize, but Zoom cannot be running on the broadcast system because it's broadcasting. So that means the good camera that I use is out of it. So during the interview or during the conversation, I would be on my phone, which would be terrible.
You've done this before, though, as I recall, because you did the same thing.
Not live.
Oh, good point. Yeah, okay.
Live changes
live
everything.
I was about to say the same thing.
We found that out Wednesday. We found that out when my Pinebook Pro would not work for the feature, and then signed off, rebooted, changed the way I connected things. I plugged the Atomos Ninja Flame into the Pinebook Pro and pushed the cord.
Mm-hmm.
Worked flawlessly.
So we need about a half a dozen Raspberry Pi 4 8 gigs.
Yeah, exactly. So I think 4 would do it because 4 is as many inputs as I have.
Oh, that's no fun. That's no fun.
Yeah. So then so basically that would allow us to treat each person on their Zoom connection as a camera source. So I think that could work, and it's probably a pretty good way to do it on the cheap. It's going to cost 4 Raspberry Pis here in Canada is like $600. So, what?
It's like $2 American, right?
It's ridiculous. Robert said to me, because Robert's in Florida, right? And he's like, "Oh yeah, a Raspberry Pi, it's only $75 for the new one." Really? $110 here just for the board. Plus you got to buy the power supply. Plus you got to buy the case. So when you're all said and done,
not even sure I would use
$200.
I'm not even sure I'd use a Raspberry Pi for that anymore. I probably. Mm-hmm. You've already been talking about the You've already been talking about the ODROID. What was it? C4, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't looked yet. I don't know if they're any cheaper. I need to hit up Ameridroid and see what they've got. But maybe that's an option. My problem is that I really don't like how the Raspberry Pi and MarshMan, you've seen this too, right? You've seen where the Raspberry Pi, if it loses power, potentially that SD card gets corrupted. You can't afford that, especially not live. So, maybe that's an option. But I don't know what the price point is though. So
maybe just a bunch of XU4s with eMMC running a Debian distro with a desktop. Yeah, I like the way you're thinking. Yeah. And it's got HDMI out. I was strictly thinking, I just need a SBC with some HDMI output. But you're right; it doesn't have to be Raspberry Pi.
Nope. You need for it to work, especially when you're live. You can't afford to be having it break down unexpectedly on you. Not to say that they will, but if you lose power all of a sudden, then you're going to have a
But if you lose power and the SD card corrupting is the least of your problems.
It's true. It's a good point. Yeah,
if my UPS is so weak it can't power 4 Raspberry Pis, I'm in trouble because that R510 is going down.
Well, you got a beeping at UPS, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I got to get new batteries in that thing.
Well, it's a good point. I threw it out there for in case it would be, just as an option. So
yeah, I like that idea. XU4s or the new C4s, any of those would probably do just fine. It's really just plugging them in and then seeing how they operate with Zoom and full screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a neat idea anyway.
So yes, sir.
What's your first name?
B.
We don't need to ask that, Peter. Yeah.
It's B.
If he wanted us to know, we would know.
His last name is 9.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Middle name? Guess his middle name. Final thing for housekeeping before we can just have free for all is Robert is going to be expanding his feature. So on the newsroom, he does the Crypto Corner, which is kind of like, it's news centric because it's part of the newsroom. So very much about like the flow of cryptocurrency and the value and why the value is fluctuating from week to week and things like that, and any big news in cryptocurrency. But he's going to be expanding to also include a feature on Tech TV, which is going to be an occasional feature, but he's going to be presenting some exciting things like how does the blockchain work, and he's going to be showing us under the hood, like behind GitHub source code and stuff like that, how it actually functions, and doing some more kind of geekery as opposed to just the news end of things. So we're going to be getting into the technical aspects of not just cryptocurrency, because we tend to think of the blockchain as cryptocurrency, but it's so much more than that. It's encryption, it's security, it's data storage, and we're going to be getting into some of that. And particularly because that's what he does, he's going to be hosting that particular feature. So we're going to have some of those coming up. So that's the final thing that we really covered that I wanted to share with you guys.
A real quick question. Did you plan to, when you move the coffee break to Sunday, the 7th of June, is that still going to be the same time during of the day? So it's going to be midday your time, correct, 11 o'clock my time. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's all yours. The floor is yours.
You haven't answered my question. You haven't answered my question yet.
Yeah, okay.
See how that happens, Bill? That's it. That's everybody's cue to everybody talk all at the same time.
No. Yeah, go on, Peter.
I said he hasn't answered my question. What's your first name, BP9?
I answered that question, Peter. I answered that question.
Sure did.
Yeah. And I said that that's none of our business.
Oh, okay. It will be like that then.
And also, he might not be wanting to say it out aloud on TV.
Even still, it's something that we don't ask. Now, MarshMan has been on the show. He's been here in person. We all know his first name. We all know who he is. So it's fine for me to refer to him by his first name or his alias, because he's already presented that. When somebody has not volunteered that information, we don't request it.
And at one point, he was testing. MarshMan was testing. In one time, he had 3 live video accounts on at one time, and I think in one of those he had his last name. So
he's been here. He's been here on the show. Yeah.
So. No, I know what Solbu was talking about. I had my computer on, which I'm logged in as MarshMan, and then the iPad, which came up as my real name, and then my phone, which was like my legal name. So 3 different names.
I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I was just
no worries, Peter. I'm just laying down the law. That's all.
Speaking of legal,
that reminds me of a video.
No. Not yet. On Wednesday, I'm 47.
Hey, happy birthday!
Congratulations! Happy birthday!
You're a kid.
Yeah.
So, and mom is 65 this summer.
65. Wow.
Yeah.
I've got a lot more years.
When I was born, she still had 2 months before she turned 18.
Oh yes.
My mother will be 92 this August.
Wow, man.
I'm so old.
Older than you, I think I'm older than you.
Yeah, you're definitely older than I am. Definitely, for sure. Yeah. More grey hairs.
Peter has seniority here.
Yep, there you go. Yep. So it looks like either my Pinebook or my PinePhone is on its way. I just got notification that it's been shipped. Maybe they'll ship both in the same package. I don't know, but
so you got a Pinebook Pro?
I did, yes. I did.
Fantastic. Yes, now, did you opt for ISO or ANSI?
ANSI, of course.
Yes.
What do you? That's the whole reason I got it, because I as much as I like that Pinebook, you and I have talked about this. As much as I like that Pinebook, that keyboard is just driving me crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm thinking about getting me a Pine tablet too, just because I'm thinking about upgrading the
maybe with the original.
This reminds me of a video I watched just today.
How did I know you were going to say?
I knew it was coming.
I was watching. I think last week's Security Now on with Steve Gibson, and
I've sort of stopped watching that. I suppose I should go back and start watching.
And at one point they were mentioning they came talking about the keyboards for a brief moment, and then Steve Gibson said that he commented that his function keys was on the left hand side of the keyboard. So it is
on an old 3270 keyboard they used to be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he didn't have any function keys in the one row above, and he didn't like those.
Not 3270. The original PC keyboards had that, as I recall.
Yeah.
Can I ask? I know we're a small crew today, but is there anyone here who prefers ISO?
What is that? And I'm not sure.
The keyboard layout, Solbu.
Yeah.
The keyboard layout.
That doesn't tell me anything.
International Standards Organization. That's what's usually.
Yeah, I know what ISO is, but it doesn't tell me anything about keyboards.
Let me finish speaking. It's usually used in Europe. ANSI is American, so that's Western Hemisphere.
European.
Yeah, I have a Norwegian keyboard. Surprise, surprise.
So, Solbu, if you have a look on the Pine 64 website and look at the original, or any screenshots at all of the original Pinebook, not the Pinebook Pro, because you can get both keyboard layouts, but just the original Pinebook, I believe it doesn't have an ANSI option. Am I right?
No. Just ISO.
It's not a standard keyboard at all. It's not an ISO or an ANSI keyboard.
So if ISO, I know this is running through my head right now, but if ISO is International Standards Association, okay, so can we say ANSI is American, not the stupid ISO?
If you like.
It's not the stupid ISO.
You're trying to push MarshMan.
Thousands upon thousands of Europeans, but that's okay.
You're really pushing. You're really trying to push MarshMan's buttons, aren't you, there, Robbie?
No,
you just can't help yourself.
What do I care? I don't.
I hated that layout. I think I just hope that I didn't offend too many people with my reaction to it. It was terrible.
I tried it too. I didn't like it. I won't say I'm offended, but I'm annoyed as all get out. So,
it's just not what you used to. That's all.
No, right, exactly.
But the original Pinebook is different. They had to make compromises for the size, and they had to move keys around, and they had to delete the key. So it's not a standard keyboard by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. Well, I'm still having trouble making a good physical connection to the PineTime in order to program it. The Raspberry Pi is just not recognizing that there's a PineTime there. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. Whether I'm going to solder some wires on or what to do there.
But I would have expected the dock. It came with a dock. Did that not help?
The dock only provides power, not programming cable.
Oh, give me a break! They should have made it connect.
Yeah, no, it's just
what's the
power.
What's the point of having a docking station if it does nothing but provide power?
It's a power supply, not a dock.
Well, right. It is a consumer device, or the ultimate consumer device. It'll just be there for docking, for power, for charging. It's not there for programming it. Now, how do you program it when it's first supplied? I guess that would be done at the factory once they decide what image to use to program it with. But for now, I've just got to figure out how to make a good physical connection, because this just isn't cutting it. I can't seem to make I think I got it to the point where the Raspberry Pi was recognizing that the PineTime was there. At least it wasn't complaining, but I couldn't make it. I couldn't get an image to it. I couldn't make it even acknowledge that the thing was there. I just got it to a point where it stopped complaining, but it never did, successfully connect to it. So I may have to pull out the soldering iron look out, Robbie, because you've got some soldering practice to do.
Yeah.
But those points,
I wonder if that's the answer.
The 4 programming points are very, very close on that board. And I'm exceedingly concerned that I'll short circuit them out.
Magnification and the magnification.
Well, yeah, I've got to get a really fine soldering tip as well, so that I can get. I tend to be a bit heavy-handed with the solder, so that's I've got a good soldering iron, Peter. Don't worry. I'm fine with that. Thank you.
That horrible tin copper stuff. That's crap. Excuse my French. The tin copper stuff is useless. You want to get the stuff 60-40 stuff. I think the best stuff. Because it doesn't flow at all. That's other new stuff.
I'm less concerned about what I have good solder. I have a good soldering iron. It's just a matter of practice. Just like Robbie, and it's very easy to mess it up.
Thanks a lot. I'm not out of practice. I'm just a rookie. I'm just an amateur. Hey, are they pass-through or are they surface mount, the connectors?
It looks like pass-through, but I need to actually take the board out of the device to verify that.
Because I'm just wondering, could we put headers on it and then put it into
you still have to solder. You still have to solder them in. I'd have to see if there are solder pads on the other side of the board.
You've got pins on it. Could you put pin or two on it?
Well, that's what Robbie means by headers.
By headers, yeah. So we'd have like header pins so that we could then use some cables to put it onto a.
Well, if I put pins in, then I'll never be able to close it up. So then I'd be sacrificing that unit. So if I solder the wires, if I solder the wires indirectly, then I can at least cut a groove on the very corner of it, and then let the wires out that way, or on the edge of it, and let the wires out that way.
Make sure the wire don't. Make sure they don't fall off or something.
Well, of course, make sure they don't short against anything, but because the pins are so close.
Can you show us? I'm going to change the view here so that people can see.
I don't know if you can even see that because the
I can see.
I need some decent light. There we go.
Yeah, I can see.
See how close they are?
Yeah, they are close.
They're at the top of the screen, and in this orientation from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And you can see how close they are.
The two little gold things at the bottom.
There's four of them. There's 4 of them. It might not show up, but that's actually 4 connectors.
Okay.
These are the 4 pins that are supposed to connect to it. Right.
They're wrong.
And do they plug in?
Yeah, they fit, but they're not making a good, consistent physical connection. I mean, you literally just plop them in.
Have you cleaned them?
Have I cleaned them?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I had to trim them too because they were like 5 times as long as that, and they were stabbing into the back of the display and potentially shorting out against the Bluetooth antenna, which is that copper thing that copper thing that you can see stretching down the outside.
Before we run out of time, just a small comment on we mentioned keyboard earlier in the show. And I know that many of the at least in Scandinavia, when they who are doing programming, they often change the keyboard layout into English because there is a lot of brackets and curly brackets in programming. We have those are there are 2 keys, and you press Shift in order to change between them. In the Scandinavian keyboard layout, they are spread out across 4 keys, and you have to press down the Alt GR key in order to get to them. So
I say cleaner because if I've had a bit of dirt or anything, I'll put a bit of resistance there. Give it a bit very fine in with paper or something to clean them off and dry, and then check with an ohm meter, make sure they got good resistance there, no resistance there, because it may be just a sort of resistance or a dirty connection somewhere. That's possible right there.
Well, Robbie made a good point as to whether they're pass through or not. I'm not sure if they are. It may be that those pins are just plated on one side of the one surface of the board.
Yeah,
and if that's true, then putting those pins in the holes is not going to make a good connection in any case, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking about the connection. Yeah, the actual banking connection to the thing. Yeah.
Here's hoping. Good luck, BP9. Keep us posted how it goes. Okay. I can't wait to hear it. I still don't have my PineTime, so this is great because you can mess up yours and then show me what not to do.
Yeah, and then I'll just order
I'll be like
one.
a boss. Yeah.
You got some soldering practice. You got some soldering practice to do.
You can have this on a mini show. Don't do this at home.
Yeah, you just tell me what not to do, and then I'll do it right on camera, and everybody will be like, "Wow, that Robbie really knows what he's doing."
Yeah, he rocks, man. He rocks. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it's been great seeing you, and I'll see you again on Sunday, the 7th of June, for another community coffee break. Take care. Have a good one.
Looking forward to it. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.